Selling. Whew, let's talk selling. Let's unpack selling together because here's the thing about selling. And I think I've said this before. I'm going to say it again because teaching is repeating. For those of you who unfortunately experienced selling thoughts like I did, I want to reassure you we have the power to change those thoughts. So I used to think that I couldn't sell. I also used to think that selling was full of lies, lies, and more damn lies. Lying liars who lie is what my voice would say when the salespeople would come and say, "Hey, I just sold this, go implement it." And I'd get there and do the intake, and they were expecting things that were not available. So lying liars who lie was my thoughts about salespeople. Then, of course, we have the used car salespeople, and we all know that. But here's what I want to offer. Selling is coaching and coaching is selling. What do I mean by that? Because that is a line that Stacey Bayman coined. Now, she might have got it from somebody else because that, remember, is what we do. We take information in, we apply it, we use it, we get our results from it, we make it our own because how I experience it, how I talk about it will be very different than anybody else. And that's the name of this game. That's what coaching is all about. So let's get back to selling. Here's the thing that took me quite some time to really understand and grasp. When we are selling and we are coaches or service providers or professionals who sell things, selling, I obviously call myself the coach's coach because I think I coach coaches. But if you're here, welcome. It'll still help you. So when we are selling somebody, what are we actually doing? All we are doing is making an invitation to help them. We're inviting them to come into our world to experience our way of processing, understanding, teaching, exchanging information with them so that they can get what they desire, they want, they say they want, right? Remember, people will often say they want something but not put the work in to get it. Is that our fault or their fault? The debate is that's what rages about the coaching industry is that we all sell the dream but don't deliver it. Well, dudes, I hate to tell it to you. We can't deliver you the dream, or we can give you the tools, the skills, the ideas, the thoughts to implement so that you can create your dream. Selling is exactly that. So we've got to clean up the thinking around that. If you've got any thoughts about the fact that it is, lying liars who lie, you've got to find inside of you why you do what you do. You've got to find that compulsion, that compelling, that you've got to get out of your own way and get out there and tell people what you've got because your people are there. They're a tiny percentage of the amount of people that you will interact with. That's life. Get over it. Don't focus on the 90 odd percent that aren't your people. Focus on the 10% that are your people. So clean up your thinking around that. And then embrace your mess. And this is possibly one of the hardest things you're ever going to do. When selling becomes hard or icky, or at least my experience of when selling became hard and icky, is because I was pretending to be somebody I was not. I was thinking that I have to sell this way, and that is how it has to be. And that didn't sit well in my body. And I was trying to think of all of the NLP phrases that I could use and all of the persuasions. And I read all of the books on selling and strategy. And there were books advised to me, and I can't remember. It's got one word. It was just on the tip of my tongue and it's gone. But I can promise you, I listened Persuasion. That was the book, Persuasion. It did not work for me, that book. Maybe for you it did, but for me, no, it left me cold. What helped me to understand that all I could do is be true to me, be authentic to me, explain what I did, why it works, how it helped me, and how it helps my clients is simply this. If you are a struggling alcoholic and you need help, are you going to somebody who's never been an alcoholic, who's never struggled with alcohol, who's never ever faced or experienced that side of life? Or are you going to go to somebody who was a self-proclaimed raging alcoholic who relapsed and relapsed, but actually ended up overcoming it, getting clean, staying clean, and figuring out, well, how that process worked? And that's now who they help and how they teach. Which are you picking? Because I'm picking the raging alcoholic. I am not picking the teetotaler. And that is what we forget. We are here to help people transform themselves. Those people who want your help are people who need to know the messy middle that you experienced and you could still be experiencing, because this is the other thing about selling that you need to tune in and listen to, because your people are usually behind you. That is true. But in my case, where I help people build businesses, and trust me, building a business is more about building you when it's a solopreneur business, which is why I cover all of the things. Um, but I help people who are way ahead of me. They've got multi-six and seven-figure businesses. I can't even imagine making that money in my own business because I don't want to work that hard. Okay. That's my desire. And that's why I always say connect to what your dream life is. What do you really desire? Go after that and then trust that you will get there. And that doesn't mean that what others do is a reflection on you. I can help them because of my couple of decades helping people build businesses. I'm very good at getting chaos organized. I'm very good at automations. I'm very good at seeing what they can't see because of all of the years of experience that I have had. So I help them. They're further ahead than me, but they're not, because my skill set is further ahead than theirs. And that's what I need you to understand. So you've got to get into belief about who you are, who you help, why you're unique, because there's enough naysayers out there that if you keep listening to them and you don't build that inner belief, that inner compulsion, that inner knowing that what you've got works, that what you've got needs to be out there, even when you're still in the mess, because you're always going to be in the mess. I want you to hear me on that. The mess is always there. You might get paid more, you might be helping more people, but you've still got a mess. It's just how our lives are if we're on a growth trajectory. I can't really overemphasize that because I think it's something that we always want to get to that destination, right? When I have X, I'll be Y. But the problem with that is that you then use X to beat yourself up against, or you think that that's going to provide what you need and you have to actually get there. Destination happiness is the term that I put that, and I used to do that all the time. So when I was in a program management role, I would change my job every year to 18 months, and I'd be in a new country, new business, new people every year to 18 months, like clockwork. That's why I made all of the money I made, because I got paid extremely well, and I would go places a lot of people would not go. So there was a tariff to be had. And for many years, my salary was not spent because they were paying all of my business expenses and my flights and my accommodation and my food and my per diems and my phones, everything. So that's why I earned what I earned, and it was ridiculous. But I digress, because destination happy. Oh, if I go to this city and meet these people, I'll be happy. But guess what? Where I went, there I was. If you do not grow, it doesn't matter. And I always want you to think about the lottery win, right? There is so much proof and evidence that people who win the lottery within 5 years are worse off than before they won it. And it's because they didn't go through the process. They didn't go through the transformation. They didn't learn, grow, learn, grow, right? That's that failure thing. We've got to fail to succeed. They are hand in hand. You cannot succeed without failure. It is impossible. So that's what I want you to embrace when it comes to selling. Selling is not icky, right? I am hoping you're seeing that. We want to buy from people that see us, that empathize with us, that understand us, that have got what we want. And that doesn't mean you've got to be perfect. It doesn't mean you have to learn to phrase things correctly. And for those that want a template or a script, I get that. In the beginning, we want to know the how. Always want to know the how. But go back to my think framework. The how is only understood through the doing of it, and that is the who. So who gets to be the person that's already done it is how we learn the how. You can't understand the how without executing. And so what I want you to do is I want you to set yourself little goals, little micro goals on the way to the big hairy ass goal, right? If you had 10 back-to-back consult calls or discovery calls or strategy calls or planning calls, whatever the hell you want to call your free call, if you did 10 of those in a row, And instead of just glibly doing 10 and going down the same pathway and not really learning from them, you just did them on autopilot. Instead, you did one and then you stopped and you just did the evaluation. What did I really enjoy? What felt really easy? How did the language flow? Then, what was hard? Where did I lose it? Where did I get lost? What was I thinking? And then what didn't work? And what didn't work, maybe they said no. But remember, 90% of people are always going to say no because they're not your people. Who cares? We focus on who our people are. And so this is the thing, right? So imagine you've done one, you've evaluated it, you've learned from it, you've turned your brain on, you've become consciously aware of what happened, you've thought it through. You might have then said, okay, so when I ask them this type of question, I need to follow up with this. And it all comes back down to curiosity. Remember, they got on the phone with you in the first place. They booked that call. They obviously want to know or have or hear what you've got to offer. Your job is to help them make that decision. And if you get off the phone, boom, the first time they go, but I don't got the money, I don't got the time, I need to ask permission. And you're not helping them get to a decision and explaining to them, well, how many times have you made decisions based on that circumstance, right? So how many times have you wanted to go ahead with something, but you've let money be the reason to stop you? How many times have you checked in with your partner and your partner's always said no? Because of course, if we go and ask our partners, can I spend $3,000 on coaching? He's going to say no. Everybody's going to say no. It's a totally different conversation where if you go, I need to go and learn with this person because this person is going to help me understand this and unpack that. And I'm going to gain some skill here and they're going to support me do this. And I really believe that I will get an investment return on this money. I need to know, can I pay for it in full or am I going to pay for it as I go? What do you think he's going to say? It's a different conversation. That is how we coach on a sales call because you need to start revealing to that person how they've made decisions in the past because the only reason they're on a call with you is they don't like the results they're getting. That means any decisions that they've made in the past have led them to this place. So their decision-making process is probably flawed. Mine for sure is, right? That's something that I still need to work on. This is all learning. This is all the fun of it. This is all the joy of it. And the more you can laugh at how ridiculous it all is, because quite frankly, it is ridiculous, right? We are so afraid of being told no. And yet no is the most common used word in the language. In our language, you think about little kids. No is just out of no and why. That's what they say all of the time. And in sales conversations, we have to be prepared for both. We have to be prepared for no's and we have to be prepared to answer the whys. Whew, ramble, ramble, ramble. So, all this to say, it's a process like everything. You will never get to the end of the journey because the journey never stops. And depending on your beliefs, even when you leave this mortal coil, you may still be coming back for another piece of your journey, right? So your job is to just get more skill, more tools. And how do we get more skill and more tools? Through implementation, through action, through doing it, execution, through failure, but failure where we learn from it, not failure where we keep doing the same thing over and over and over. That, of course, is a definition of insanity, or as a way I like to describe it, you keep going down a dead-end street and you keep driving back down that street instead of getting out your map and understanding, why do I keep going down this street when there are 52 other roads that I could try to get me to where I want to be? That is trying, right? We have to try, we have to execute, we have to learn, fail, we have to try again and do it slightly better, slightly differently, tweak it, make a change. Don't make a wholesale change because that's the other thing that gets us into trouble with selling. We then start to think, oh, I've got to change everything about it. But really, it's curiosity. Why did you book the call? How can I help you? What have you already tried? What has worked? What has failed? Why did it fail? If you've been in another program, why didn't you get the results? Do you understand more about that? I.e., ask them lots of questions so that when it gets to bridging the gap, so for those of you who are already in my club. You've got access to my consultation module. Bridging the gap is how we take them from, I've got this problem, to I've got the solution for you, and you fit it back to what you've just learned on the conversation. That is why selling is coaching and coaching is selling, because you are helping that person make a decision. You are helping them love the decision they make, and you are primarily helping them transform. So never be afraid of sales. Rewire your brain if your brain gives you all of the negatives that I've got, and just get out there and keep doing. And for those of you willing, go and set yourself a goal to get 10 people into a call as quickly as you can, but then evaluate each and every call. You may still end up with 10 no's, but if you do this correctly, you're going to end up with skill, with experience, and with some new tools. And that, my friends, is how we build profitable businesses. But more importantly, that is how we stay in integrity, the I in think, and that is how we can go to bed at night knowing we did our best. And that's that feeling of contentment, of happiness, instead of a feeling of regret because I didn't even try. All right, I will leave it there. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, hang on, YouTube. Like and subscribe. I always forget, right? Because I want my ramblings to be heard, because I really think it's valuable. Well, I know they're valuable. If somebody could have just rambled on like this to me when I was in the early stages, and even now, I just need people to talk to me, to coach me, to bring me through my thinking, to make me see I can be whomever I choose to be. So yeah, like, subscribe, share, do all of the things. And if ever you're curious about working with me, go to my website or come into my club. It's a month by month. You get to decide. You could be there for a month. You could be there for a year. You could be there forever, because this life and business is always a growth journey. I love to do it with people probably like you if you're listening, and having fun doing it and laughing at ourselves and making sure that that little lizard brain, we see him, we hear him, but we decide not to stick with him. That's the goal. I will catch you on the next one. Bye.